Hello and welcome everyone to another Flycast Partners presentation. My name is Rich Longo and I'll be your host for today's event. And I'm joined today by Flycast Partners' very own Kyle Hamilton. And Kyle's going to teach us a little bit about Ivanti endpoint management. Now, he's an experienced pre-sales senior solutions consultant with extensive experience in collaborating with Alliance on IT strategies. He's been in the IT industry for well over 20 years, probably way more than that, I'm sure. Kyle has experience in a variety of IT tools and publishers, ranging from IT service management, IT asset management, IT operations management, and he has experience from multiple types of positions in the industry, allowing him to have the bigger picture in mind when helping organizations meet their IT needs. Before we get started, Kyle, let me introduce Flycast Partners. Flycast Partners is here to deliver a seriously, a seriously great IT experience for all of its customers. We're able to help you out, whether it be services, it could be remote administration, it could be training, anything that can help better your organization and move it along. We help you increase efficiencies. We also offer enterprise service management consulting as well as ITIL training. I encourage you to take a peek at our website and look at some of the different technologies we offer here at Flycast Partners. There's a variety of them here, all the way down to the remote access and beyond trust. Also, take a look at our upcoming webinars and events that are right around the corner. Now, next week, we'll be doing IT Service Manager once again with Mr. Kyle Hamilton, and then purchasing enterprise software and top five center for internet security controls coming up a few weeks out right before Christmas. Folks, I know you took a lot of time out of your very busy day to join us, so I want to welcome you and thank you for taking that time out. And as I transition over to Kyle, I'm going to throw a poll out there for you. I want to know how many of you know right now the number of endpoints that you are utilizing within your organization. So if you'll go ahead and vote for me right now, and I'm going to turn this presentation over to you, Kyle. So we'll give you control of the screen. There you go. It looks like everybody's starting to vote on our poll here. We've got most of our folks participating. There we go. Wow. Very interesting. Our poll keeps going. We've got about 75% of you have voted. So far, it's yes that you know the number of endpoints your organization has right now. Okay, that's fair. Let's go ahead and take one more poll before we let Kyle get started here about the tool that you're using for your endpoints. Are you aware of where your endpoints are right now? If you had to look it up right now, do you have access to that information? So do you have a tool that will allow you to see real time your endpoints? Go ahead and vote for me real quick. It looks like Kyle's got control of the screen. He's got it up. All right, we've got 20% of you have voted. Wow, it's 50-50 here. And as we move forward, a few more votes. Wow, okay, keeps going 50-50 back and forth. We've got 60% of you have voted so far. So it sounds like a lot of you do have a handle on your endpoints and what's going on and able to report on that. So if you had to get a report real time and take it to a director or manager or a CIO, you'd be able to do that. So good information. So it's 50-50, yes and no. With that, Kyle, I'll go ahead and turn this over to you.
Okay, thank you, Rich. Can everybody hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Excellent. All right, so welcome everybody. Thanks for taking time out of your lunch in your afternoon to listen to us and to listen to me. I'm going to take you on a brief tour of Ivanti's endpoint management solution, talk a little bit about what it provides in your environment, what it can do for you, some of the advantages that it provides. As Rich mentioned, the biggest part of this is just having an idea of what's in your estate, how many assets you have to manage, whether those be switches, routers, servers, desktops, laptops, everything in your estate. So Ivanti Endpoint Management does that in two different ways. Number one, there's what we call unmanaged device discovery. So this is your ability to sweep your network, be able to find out exactly what's out there that you have to deal with. What's got an IP address, what's out there on your network, communicating, whether it be a desktop, a laptop, a server, a switch, a router, a network printer, for example. You can schedule this. Most customers, would typically schedule something like this on a daily basis. It could be scheduled weekly, it could be scheduled monthly, or it could be scheduled somewhere in between. So that you can get a statewide understanding of everything that's out there on your network, what's connected, what's communicating. Ivanti Endpoint Management provides agents for Windows, Linux, Unix, Macs, so that you can control virtually everything in your environment. Also provides the ability for mobile device management. So if we're talking about Chromebooks, iOS devices, Android devices, and basically being able to provide control for whatever you need. From that initial sweep or scan of your network, you're going to get a list of all of those devices that are found, those things that are unmanaged. You can either choose to deploy the endpoint management agent automatically to those devices so that you can immediately have control the minute they plug into the network. You can also choose to deploy those agents manually from that device list. So if there are certain devices you don't want to control, or especially for those things that are unmanageable through the agents, like your Cisco switches, your Bay network routers, things like that, you still have visibility to those, and those can still be populated into your CMDB if you're using everything from Ivanti's service management solution all the way to footprints, ServiceNow, SCOM, SCCM, being able to provide that information and populate that data into your CMDB so that you have access to this data that's being discovered. Now, once those devices are connected, or whether you want to connect directly to your Active Directory environment, this also gives you the ability to connect directly to AD. So if you want to connect into Active Directory, to be able to have a look at devices that may be a part of your directory but aren't yet managed, then you have the ability to go in and browse those devices as well. Now, once you do discovery on those devices, then you have the ability to browse through that inventory. I can see everything across the board. I can also create queries that will allow me to segregate and kind of subdivide all of that inventory data down into, your servers, your Windows 10 devices, everything running SQL Server. This will allow you the capacity to be able to not only break that down from an inventory perspective, but if you are, creating administrative accounts and you want to provide your administrators access to just your Windows 10 devices or just to the SQL Server machines, then you can easily do that through those queries. Those queries also correlate into scopes. So you can see here I've created multiple scopes. So if you're running HP machines, if you're running Dell, if you're running Lenovo devices, I can easily go in and subdivide that inventory so I can show you exactly what you need to manage, group by group, device by device. That could be based on operating system. It could be based on the subnet that those devices reside on. It could be based on some other criteria. like memory or hard drive space. So everything you're collecting via inventory, we can create those scopes so that not only allows you to separate and subdivide your inventory based on those, but also to be able to assign permissions so that if you want a user that's logging into Ivanti Endpoint Management just to simply have the ability to manage SQL servers, you can do that. If you want them to have the ability to manage your Windows 10 devices, you can do that as well. So these scopes become important in that you can use that not only to be able just to subdivide and segregate your inventory as you're looking at it, but also to be able to provide permissions to administrators that are logging in so that you can separate out permissions from one user to another. So if you have people that administer your servers versus people that administer your desktops or laptops, you can use these scopes to do those things very easily. Now, once you take that initial inventory, and let's take a specific device. Within your inventory, once you've got a device with that endpoint management agent installed, you can drill into that inventory. Take a look at details related to hardware software configuration. What kind of memory, what kind of BIOS are they running, what kind of software do they have installed. This gives you a detailed look at all of those pieces of information where you can drill in and look at specific software, specific memory configuration, specific hard drive configuration. Everything's available to you right here through the inventory screen. Now, in addition to that, through that same context menu, you'll notice you have remote control capability. So if I wanted to jump into a particular machine, for example, I want to remote control a particular server that's in my inventory. Being able to launch a remote control window that would give me access to directly deal with that machine. Maybe it's an end user machine, could be a server you want to make a change to. This gives me the ability to log in directly. I have some controls that are going to appear down at the bottom that give me the ability to do everything from file transfers to, of course, passing key commands like Control-Alt-Delete if I need to log in. You'll notice that I can pass or place a icon down at the bottom of the user's screen that lets them know that we're remote controlling. If you want them to have the ability to accept or deny that remote control, you can also configure that. So if somebody's logged on a machine, they're not willing to allow remote control, they can deny that. Or you can have that set up for things like servers where there's probably not somebody standing there at the server console accepting that control, then allow them to pass through automatically. That's all configurable. Now, in addition, I'm going to open up this portal manager here on this particular desktop. And the portal manager gives you the ability to publicize or advertise applications, patches, specific fixes, anything you want to make available to the user. They can access that through a desktop kiosk. So the portal manager is your ability to, rather than having to, blast out an application across the enterprise so that everybody has something, which you can certainly do. This gives you the ability to advertise those applications to the user through a desktop kiosk so that if they want to install Firefox, or if they want to install Google Chrome, or they want to install a Firefox browser, whatever the case may be, You can give them access directly through the desktop. They can access the portal manager, and that provides them with a storefront. So they can go in, access applications, they can install patches, they can even perhaps fix common issues, whether it be remapping a drive, restoring a desktop shortcut, whatever the case may be, right from their desktop. Now it looks like this is taking a moment to open. So what I'll do is I'll just open this up on my local desktop. This is an example of what that desktop portal, that desktop kiosk would look like. You can create categories. So we have desktop applications, antivirus software, collaboration tools, all the way to service packs and patches that need to be installed. So users can access this directly from their desktop. So if they need to install Adobe Acrobat, for example, or Adobe Air, they can simply click on the icon on their desktop and immediately begin downloading that from that core server, so that those users can access that software immediately. It'll start downloading, give them their desktop icons in the start menu. Everything you want to configure can be configured through the portal, so that the minute they click on that icon and request that install, it can begin deploying that immediately without having to push everything out to everybody, without knowing necessarily whether they need that software or they want that software. Now, in addition to being able to take inventory, close this down, they can also access the ability to remote control. So I can remote control into a device. If I need to watch what the user is doing, follow along with steps, what they're doing. If I need to wake up a machine that's offline, if I need to shut down or reboot a server that's non-responsive, as long as it has an agent installed, then we have the capability to be able to manage that device, whether it's on your network or whether it's off your network. So we have what's called a cloud service appliance, something that would sit in your DMZ, or if you're using the hosted version, it's handled for you. That way, so if you've got users that are in coffee shops, if they're at home on the couch, if they're in an airport terminal, then you have the ability to be able to manage those devices on or off network, regardless of location. Do you have any questions so far, Rich?
That would be a no. And audience, I do encourage you to please type your questions in the question section of this GoToWebinar meeting. But there are no questions so far. Folks, take advantage of Kyle today. Pick his brain while we've got him.
Yes, I welcome questions. Please feel free. Now, in addition to being able to take inventory and do discovery on your network, and of course, a large piece of this and a big portion of why we take this inventory is to be able to populate this information into your service management solution, whether that be Ivanti, whether that be some other tool, ServiceNow, BMC, Remedy, what have you, so that you can easily schedule this so that on a daily basis or on whatever scheduled basis you define, These assets are being populated directly into the CMDB, so you have access to those when you're logging incidents, you're logging problems, you're logging change requests. You want to be able to link those directly back to the assets that are being discovered. So this is the tool that will allow you to be able to capture all that information so that you can link those incidents, build that history, and be able to report on incidents by device or incidents by model or incidents by vendor, whatever the case may be. Now, part of the Ivanti endpoint management solution also includes the ability to deploy software packages. You want to distribute software to the endpoints. So you can see here I have everything from Adobe Flash, Adobe Air, Microsoft Office, Yahoo Messenger, you name it. There's also a tool called Ivanti Package Studio that can save you a tremendous amount of time when it comes time to actually building these packages, so that rather than having to spend weeks or months, building up those packages and testing them, you can actually have these packages downloaded within minutes, applied directly to your endpoint management tool, and you can start deploying these to your desktops, laptops, servers, and even mobile devices, iOS, Android, Windows Mobile, directly through here. Now, we do that in a way that uses what they call a scheduler. So if I want to take a particular software package that I've built, let's say Safari as an example, I can take that Safari package, I can drag that onto my scheduled tab, and I can drop that into my scheduler tab, so that once that's dropped into that scheduled tab, then I have the ability to take that and start deploying that out to a group of users or a group of devices just through simple drag and drop tools. So you can see I have everything in here from software distributions. It could be a service pack for Microsoft Office or Microsoft Windows. It could be an OS deployment where I'm looking to upgrade somebody from Windows 10 to Windows 7. This gives you the ability to use the scheduler capability to simply drag and drop those packages or those patches directly into the scheduler. And at that point, all I need to do is go back up to my inventory, at which point I can either browse everything within my inventory, or I may use one of those scopes or queries that I've created, so that if I want to deploy a particular piece of software to all of my HP machines, for example, I can select that particular scope, I can grab all of those devices, and I can simply drag and drop that group of machines onto a particular package. So let's say I want to install Notepad++ onto all of my HP machines. All I have to do is grab that scope of devices, drag it down, and you'll notice that immediately all 134 machines get added to that particular package. Now I can wait and kick that off at a certain point in time, or if I choose, I can go ahead and kick that off immediately if I want to start deploying that software right away. And you'll see those 134 machines plus the other machines that had previously tried to install the software. Maybe they failed for whatever reason. I've gone and corrected that failure. Now I can go in and I can immediately start deploying Notepad across the enterprise and be able to track the status of each and every device as it starts waking up those agents and starts deploying that software. Same thing can be applied for patches, OS upgrades, you name it. This scheduler can be used for anything you can think of that you're going to do within the tool. Whether you're deploying a desktop patch, whether you're deploying an application, whether you're deploying an OS upgrade, as long as you have that inventory information and you've created some scopes, now you may deploy it to everything. Just grab every device within your environment, but in the majority of cases, you're going to subdivide or segregate that inventory out so that you can deploy things, more surgically. I want to deploy this to all of my laptops, all of my desktops, all of my Windows 10 devices, all of the devices running a particular version of a piece of software, so that you can easily deploy things just through drag and drop tools, and then be able to manage that deployment and track the status, as you can see down here, as those agents start to wake up and actually install the software on the local desktop. Now, in addition to being able to deploy software, you can also provision operating systems. So if you're looking to do bare metal provisioning, you've got a brand new machine and you want to deploy a piece of software, or you want to deploy a new operating system along with a desktop full of software. Now, from a best practice perspective, what we recommend with Ivanti's endpoint management is that you build that image so that image is bare, contains nothing more than typically two drivers, right? You got your network drivers and you get your hard drive drivers, so that we can communicate with the network or communicate with the network or the internet, and we can communicate directly with the hard drive if we need to install something, so that I can take a single image and I can push it out to a Dell laptop in the same way that I can provision this image out to an HP server or a Lenovo desktop, whatever the case may be. Now, you also want to make sure that as a part of that image that you've built in the Ivanti Endpoint Manager agent, so that the minute that machine reboots, it connects to that core server and can start to then layer or pull down all of the patches, all the applications, all the things that need to be dropped down on top of that operating system. So you can have one image in the case of, let's say, Windows 10, which is the latest, or 1803 or 1903, whatever you're dealing with, and be able to layer those applications down on top of it. And that can be done through here by selecting a group or a scope. Say I want to deploy an image to, in this case, if I'm deploying Windows 10, for example, I want to deploy it to all my Windows 7 devices or all my Windows XP devices. Now, it can also work in the case where you're migrating from one Windows 10 version to another. So you're going from 1803 to 1903 to whatever that next version may be. Those are considered patches, quote unquote, but in many cases, those are also considered operating system upgrades, because they're somewhere in the realm of 30 to 50 gig of downloads that need to occur. So Ivanti can help you make sure that you deploy all those things programmatically, lay those updates down. You can even create projects within Ivanti, so that if you want to set those things up so that you're deploying an OS update or an upgrade to a limited scope of machines, maybe 5 devices, maybe 10 machines that are part of a pilot. Make sure you test everything out, make sure everything's working, and then once it works, then you expand that scope to the next ring. where maybe you start expanding it out to a particular department or group of application owners, and then on and on and on until you eventually reach everybody in the environment. Now, another critical and important part of Ivanti endpoint management is patch and compliance, making sure that your devices are secured. They don't contain any vulnerabilities, whether that be related to OS vulnerabilities or that be related to application vulnerabilities. So you have the ability to download directly from Ivanti a comprehensive list of all of the patches, all of the vulnerabilities that are known for those applications, for those operating systems, as well as if you're using hardware from HP, Dell, or Lenovo, we can also help you manage your driver environment. Everything from being able to modify the master boot record, to being able to update the BIOS, to being able to update NIC drivers, video card drivers, audio drivers, etc. So if you look at the list that I've shown here, or I've got up here, you can go through specifically for those three vendors, right? And pick all the specific models that you have to manage. So that if you're looking to update your HP laptops, or you're looking to update your Lenovo servers or desktops, you have the ability to acquire those drivers directly and be able to download those automatically and apply those just like you can everything from 7-zip to Yahoo Messenger. So there's a large third-party list of applications that Ivanti Endpoint Management can control, far outside of what you can address with SCCM or other third-party tools. In the last week, we just added the ability to download and update CrowdStrike. So that's constantly being updated on a month-to-month basis, so that not only can you update, all the Windows environment and things that WSUS may be doing for you today, but also encapsulate things like Adobe, Java, Flash, Firefox, Chrome, Java, Citrix, on and on, so that you can automatically patch a much larger range of your environment than what WSUS addresses out of the box.
Kyle, when you have a moment, we do have a question.
Sure, go ahead, Rich.
This is coming from Emil. Emil wants to know, he's a first-time EPM user, and he says maybe he missed this part, but does EPM require to install agents in the endpoints?
In order to do patching and the majority of what we've discussed so far, yes. The EPM agent is required. And by the way, there are agents for Windows, Linux, Macs, and Unix. So in order for you to be able to, now, if you're just talking about discovery on the network, no. We can sweep the network with SNMP. We can do ARP pings. We can do iOS fingerprint or OS fingerprinting. We can find out what's out there without installing an agent. But when it comes to installing a patch or installing an application or making a change to the registry for that device, making some kind of update to that device, it does require the endpoint management agent to be installed.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Now, in addition to being able to manage all your endpoints, Windows, Linux, Unix, Macs, desktops, laptops, etc., we can also manage the mobile environment. So many organizations, you've got whether they're BYOD devices, whether they're corporately owned, They're walking into the environment, they're connecting to your network, they're connecting to email. You need to be able to manage those. So we can also create mobile profiles. And these mobile profiles will enable you to control everything from, some of these pin code settings and their timeouts on the mobile device, all the way to which mail server they can connect to. So these profiles will enable you to enroll users that are walking into the environment, whether they are corporately owned or whether they're BYOD, to be able to accept and enroll them in a mobile profile. And this profile will enable you to control, can they use the camera? Can they connect to iTunes? Can they use the camera? Can they download apps on their own? So that you can control exactly what's on those devices. The things that you want them to have, you can deploy automatically to those devices. The things you don't want them to have that maybe they walked into the environment with, like Facebook or Instagram, you can deny those processes, deny those applications being run from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, for example. So
we have another, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Rich.
We have another question, and it goes along the lines of what you were just talking about a minute ago. So I'm sorry to interrupt you. Jesse wants to know, can you go into some details on the rollout projects? Also, location tracking via the agents and where to see that data, not mobile device management.
When you say that, I guess there were several parts to that question. So when you talk about rollout projects, yes. So if you create a rollout project, similar to the screen I showed and the slide deck earlier, being able to create the different phases of that rollout. So you may want to roll out an application to a specific group of devices. And that could be limited, maybe do a handful or a particular department. That way you can roll out those applications, have them test them, make sure that there aren't any incompatibilities, that it doesn't create any problems. And then at that point, you can either progress to the next ring or that next stage and roll it out to a larger group, or you can hold it at that point until approval. So if I go through that first pilot stage and I roll out a group of applications to, a certain subset of handheld devices, then once I've verified and everybody's tested and reported that everything's working well, then I can approve that stage and have it automatically roll out next to that next ring or that next stage to a larger group of machines. So that way you can control how that rollout progresses, whether you want it to happen automatically or whether you want to have some kind of approval in between that rollout so that things go out in an orderly fashion, and only once you're assured that there are no incompatibilities and any problems that may occur. Now, did I get both parts of that question, Rich? Because I know there were two pieces to that.
Yeah, the first part, can you go into some details on rollout projects? I think you got that. And the other part was also location tracking via the agents and where to see the data, not mobile device management.
I might need a little more detail on exactly what they're talking about. Like, are they talking about where the devices are physically located, like GPS tracking?
Oh no, Jesse, go ahead and send us what you're looking for. She says yes, or here she says yes, GPS tracking.
Okay. Yes. You can set up what they call geofencing. So devices that are not on your physical network, you can lock those down and you can apply a different profile and different settings in terms of what they can and can't use depending upon their IP address. If they're on the corporate network, then you can apply one set of settings. If they walk outside the building, go home, on the couch, Starbucks, whatever it may be, then you can apply a completely different set of settings based on where they are. So, and that's all based on that IP address range. If they're part of your corporate network, then we know that, okay, here's a particular set of settings that apply to the corporate IP address range. If they fall outside of that, then we may want to restrict them further beyond that.
All right, so furthermore, you can enable location awareness in the agent setup, but where do you see that data? They will put in their creds to allow it when you push it out.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, Rich?
Yeah, you can enable location awareness in the agent setup, but where do you see that data? And then the second part, do they put in their creds to allow it when you push it out?
Yeah, so that's going to be based on the latest inventory scan. So everything that happens with an endpoint management is based on the last time that you collected their inventory, right? So if you're doing that once a day, and we do that, let's say we do it every morning at 8 a.m. All the geofencing, all the updates that we make to their profile, it's going to be based on that latest inventory. So it's not real time in the sense that the minute they leave the office, we know that they've acquired a new IP address. It's going to be based on the fact that, if I take inventory at 8 a.m. and they show that they're in the network, we can apply one profile. But if at 8:05 they walk outside the network, then we're not actively tracking, we're not constantly tracking their location, I guess is the key, from minute to minute. It's based on the inventory collection that we take. So if we're doing that once a day, then we know where they are that day. If we're doing it once every 2 hours, then we know where they are every 2 hours. And we can apply those settings appropriately, but it's going to be based on how often that inventory is collected.
Okay, that's the end of the questions for this moment.
Okay. Now, there's also, in regards not only to Ivanti's endpoint management, but also to all of the Ivanti solutions, whether you're dealing with mobile devices, laptops, desktops, it could be reporting on patching and compliance. You have the ability to do that through what's called extraction. Now, extraction provides you with the ability to report not only on the endpoint solution specifically, but also external tools. So things like Active Directory, if you're using SolarWinds to do environment management or event management, if you're using VMware and detecting VMware events, this is a great way with the Ivanti solutions to be able to report on a broad range of different applications and make it easy for not just end users, but also managers and executives to be able to pull metrics and data back out of the system. So if we look here at the shared folder section, you'll see that I can report on Endpoint Manager. So I can go in and perhaps pull up a dashboard that'll show you, which devices are ready to be migrated based on criteria. How many devices are ready to be upgraded to Windows 10? How many have already been upgraded? How many are yet to be migrated? Things like that. You can also pull up details related to software license usage. So if you're tracking, license utilization around Adobe or Java or Firefox or Chrome, all those things you can patch through the endpoint management solution, we can also track utilization of those tools. You can go further from that outside of Ivanti, as I mentioned, to be able to create a mashup dashboard that may provide an executive or administrator with the ability to see data coming in from multiple data points. So in this example, I've got SCCM that may be creating events and reporting situations within SCCM. I've got McAfee antivirus that's reporting antivirus intrusions and malware detections. I've got SolarWinds that's showing me locally monitored events. I've got vMotion events coming in from VMware that shows me which VM instances are being stood up. So this provides a great way to be able to not only unify reporting across Ivanti, but also the ability to report across multiple applications. So this gives you the ability to kind of unify your reporting and get rid of things like Crystal Reports, if you're using Crystal Reports, SQL reporting services, whatever the case may be. And I can provide easy to use dashboards here, and they can pull in data from multiple external sources, give the end users, whether they be managers or executives, the ability to pull things together for themselves and the ability to drill down into that data. So if I just want to look at, for example, all my critical patches, I can drill down into the critical patches and it will update all the other components that you see on the screen to reflect just that one particular data set. If I want to look at particular records, then I can drill down to the record level and show you exactly which devices, are missing those patches or have those vulnerabilities. So it gives you the ability to not only drag and drop these dashboards together quickly and easily, but also to be able to drill down into the data so that it doesn't require a dedicated report writer that has to come in, where you have every time you need, some new report, you have to ask somebody to go in and create the table joins and inner and outer joins and things like that. The database administrators may be familiar with, but flattens things out so that anybody can come in and drag and drop something together for themselves to be able to get to the details they want without having to have a specialized skill set. And I know we're right at the, top of the hour, middle of the hour, 3/4 of the hour. Does anybody else have any questions related to Ivanti endpoint management or to the extraction tool? I'll leave it open to you guys to throw any questions at me you'd like.
There's nothing else in here so far. Folks, if you have a question, go ahead and type it in now. We'll go ahead and try and get it answered for you. I know we're a little bit past our time today, but Kyle's more than happy to take a couple extra moments and answer any questions you have. So please go ahead and send those questions to us right now. Those of you that did send questions to us today, it is very much appreciated. We appreciate your interest, and we're happy to answer anything that we possibly can, or I should say Kyle is happy to answer anything you possibly can. So folks, if you have any questions, please, by all means, type those in now. Kyle, it looks like we're not getting any response there. Did you have anything else you wanted to cover?
I think I'm good unless somebody's out there willing to challenge me. I'm open to the challenge.
You heard him, folks. He wants a challenge. Folks, I'll give another moment or so, but those of you that have questions that want to challenge Kyle, type them in now. If you don't want to ask today live during our presentation, please call us at 844-FLYCAST. That's 844-359-2278. You can even chat with one of our IT experts Monday through Friday during normal business hours on the line in our little chat box on the bottom right-hand side of our website. We'll be more than happy to answer questions there, or you can email your questions to us at info@flycastpartners.com. That's info at flycastpartners.com. Kyle, it looks like we have no takers. It looks like you're off the hook.
All right. Well, you know what? I appreciate everybody's time. Thanks for taking time out of your day to listen to me. And again, as Richard mentioned, if you have any questions, please feel free to email us at Flycast. Reach out to me directly. Reach out to your territory manager, and we can set up a one-on-one demonstration where we can dive into something more specific. Or if there are questions you just rather not share openly today, I'd be happy to answer those for you one-on-one.
All right, folks, and thank you for joining us for another Flycast Partners presentation. We do not have another webinar until after Thanksgiving. So, folks, enjoy your turkey day next week and enjoy all the good company you're going to have and your weekend. Thank you for joining us. Until next time.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.